Everybody, and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to do an updated 2022 Senate election prediction for the month of October. We are less than 1 month away from the midterms in November, and this is my updated 2022 Senate prediction for the month of October. So let's just jump right into it. For the Republican safe states, we have Oklahoma and Oklahoma Special, Kansas, the Dakotas, Idaho, Utah, Arkansas, Louisiana, Alabama, South Carolina, Kentucky, Indiana, and that is all. For Democrat safe states, we have Washington, Oregon, California, Hawaii, Maryland, Kentucky, and Vermont. For Republican likely states, if we look here, we go down to Florida. We can see Marco Rubio is running for re-election. He is facing off against Val Demings, the Democrat. Val Demings is a decent candidate, but I don't think that she'll be able to beat Marco Rubio in this election scenario, just because it's a red wave. And so if we go down here and we look at polling, we can see Marco Rubio is above Val Demings by a decent margin. We have a lot of polling data, and as we can see here, it's a good amount here for Marco Rubio. There's only a couple two polling sites that have Val Demings winning here, and so this is an easy win for Marco Rubio. So we will categorize this as a likely margin for the Republicans. I think that Marco Rubio will get it around maybe an 8 to 9 point margin in the state. In the state of North Carolina, I think that this will go for the Republicans as a likely margin. Speaking of how the scenario of how everything's playing out in the country and how it's a red wave, we have the Republican Ted Budd, who's facing off against Sherry Beasley. They're both good candidates. I think the Republican and Democratic Party has run the best candidate there is for the seat. We have the incumbent Senator Richard Burr. He's retiring, and as we saw back in 2016, he won it with 51% of the vote against the Democrats' 45.3%. So I think we could see this just barely a likely margin if we go here to polling. Ted Budd's only a little bit up against Beasley, and we have a lot of polling right here. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's only 5 polling groups that have Beasley winning, and so out of all of them, I'm going to say that, and we can look at Trafalgar Group. They have Ted Budd at 47%. And Emerson College is at 46% for Ted Budd. So I could see this going for the Republicans. I think that he could win here with a likely margin, probably around like a 5 to 6 point margin in the state. But so for the state of Alaska, I think this would go likely for the Republicans. Ranked choice voting really is not the greatest. It's not a good voting system. We have seen that it's not good with like voting, because like you have a popular candidate, and with ranked choice voting, the most unpopular candidate can get in, and so we see that it's not the most accurate with elections. So if we look here at Alaska, Lisa Murkowski is the incumbent, and we have 2 Republicans facing off of 1 Democrat. It's either going to be between Murkowski and the other Republican. So with that being said, if we look down here at polling, there's only a couple with Lisa Murkowski winning, and there's none with the Democrat winning at all. So Alaska's a pretty safe Republican state. The GOP has been able to keep it for a very long time, and I think they will. It just depends on which candidate wins in the general, because you have ranked choice voting. It's pretty rigged. But with that being said, we can move on to Missouri. I think this will go for the Republicans as a likely margin. If we look back, Missouri, we have Eric Schmidt, he is retiring as the I'm sorry, Roy Blunt is retiring as the governor, and Eric Schmidt is running. He is the Republican nominee for the open Senate seat in the state of Missouri. I think he's gonna win by a really good margin. But he's up in all the polling, um, and I think that he's going to do very well. So with that being said, I think he can get it around maybe a 5 to 6 point margin here in the state of Missouri. In the state of Iowa, I think this will go for a likely margin for the Republicans. I think that Chuck Grassley will get his reelection here. It's a pretty solid race. You know, there's no polls that have the Democrat winning, and so he's a good senator. He's a good candidate, and I think that he'll hold on to his seat in the state of Iowa. With that being said, I think that wraps up all of the likely states for the Republicans. Now we can move on to the likely states for the Democrats. We have the state of Colorado going for the Democrats as a likely margin here. Michael Bennet, he is running for re-election here against the Republican nominee Joe O'Dea. He is a good candidate. He's all right. He's not doing too well in the polling. Colorado's been trending more and more to the left lately. Over the past 20 years, they've been trending more and more to the left. So I can see that the Democrats hold on to the Senate seat in Colorado. This isn't a surprise here. I'm going to say this goes for the Democrats around 3 to 5 point margin here. In the state of New York, this is going to be an easy one for Chuck Schumer. He is running for re-election. Back in 2016, when he ran for re-election, he got 70.6% of the vote. I think he'll narrow it up a little bit. I think it'll be, it could, actually, it could go safe for him. I'm going to put it as safe here because, he's popular, or he's decently popular in the state. The Republicans put up not the greatest candidate, but he's not doing too well in the polling. Honestly, it just really depends on the state of the economy, the state of the country at the time of the election. Things can change between now and November. It could go likely, or it could be safe. I'm going to keep it as a safe margin for right now. But we'll have the updated one right before Election Day, a couple of days before Election Day, and that'll be my final prediction, and we'll see if the margins change. But for the state of Illinois, this will go for the Democrats as a likely margin here. If we look in the state of Illinois, Tammy Duckworth is running for re-election. She's an okay candidate. I think that she'll do well for the Democrats. I think she'll hold on to it by maybe like a 3 to 4 point margin in the state. So I think that this will stay in the Democratic column here. And that wraps up all the likely states for the Democrats. There's not many. There's just around 2 here. But New York is really a true toss-up between the 2 margins. So it could really be a likely and a safe. It just depends. But for Republican lean states, we have the state of Wisconsin. We have Ron Johnson, who's running for re-election here. He's a good candidate. Mandela Barnes is the Democratic nominee. He is not the greatest candidate. He's okay. I think Ron Johnson will just narrowly get it. Well, with a lean margin. Trafalgar has Ron Johnson at a 49%. And Emerson College has him at a 48%. We could see it like a 2.5 to 3 point margin in the state. I think this will go for the Republicans as a lean margin. In the state of Ohio, I think J.D. Vance will win in the state of Ohio. I think that he will. I think he'll be able to pull out on top with this one. It's a really competitive race here. Tim Ryan is a okay candidate. He's trying to appeal to both Republican and Democratic voters by saying he's like for the working class when he's really not for the working class. He's not. He hasn't been on track with a lot of things, and he's honestly, if you look at his track record, he hasn't been for the working class, not until this year. So I think that J.D. Vance will do very well. He's up in the polls. I think that he'll just narrowly win this by a lean margin here. And I think the Republicans will pull out of the race with this one. I think they'll be able to hold on to Ohio. And that wraps up all the lean states for the Republicans. And so now we can move on to the lean states for the Democrats. This includes one state, and that is the state of New Hampshire. This state is pretty competitive right now. You have Maggie Hassan. She's running for re-election against the Republican nominee Don Bolduc. And so the polls have Bolduc down by a decent margin. I like Don. I think that he's a good candidate, but I just don't see it happening in the state of New Hampshire. It's the odds are against him, and he really just doesn't have the funding and enough time because the primaries are so late in New Hampshire. They don't have enough time to campaign and get their name out there. They're like spending most of the time in the primary just campaigning then, and then after the primary you only have barely a month till the primary. So to the general. So it's really just not a good situation for either Republicans or Democrats. But obviously, if you have a incumbent, their name's already out there, and they already have done the work to get name out there. So that wraps up the lean states for the Democrats. Now we can go for the tilt states for the Republicans. Now these states right here, these last four states, we have Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada. These are really true toss-up races. They could go for Republicans or Democrats. But right now I'm going to these states right here determine the balance of power come 2023. Pennsylvania and Georgia and Arizona are the three crucial races, along with Nevada. Nevada isn't as competitive as the three others, but it is still a very competitive race. So I'm gonna go and label all the tilt races here. In the state of Georgia, we're gonna start with the state of Georgia. We have incumbent Senator Raphael Warnock. He won the 2021 runoff election against Kelly Loeffler. Kelly Loeffler, she's okay. She was an okay candidate, but she didn't do real well. They both didn't do real well in the in the general. In the first election because of how many. There was 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats, and the vote wasn't split up real well. So, going to the runoff, Democrats normally pull out in the runoffs. They normally have a better race in the runoffs than the Republicans do in a runoff election. So that's kind of why he won in the runoff elections. Democrats almost always do better with that. So if we look at polling here, you have Raphael Warnock just a hair above Herschel Walker. It's really just a toss-up. We have Trafalgar Group has it at 46 for Raphael Warnock to Herschel Walker's 45%, and Emerson College 48 for Warnock and 46 for Walker. I could really see this race going either direction. But it can go tilt Republican here, or it could go tilt Democrat. It's just a very competitive race. But for right now, I'm going to put it as tilt Republican. I think the turnout for Herschel Walker will be a little bit better than Raphael Warnock, and I think it'll just be enough to pull him out. So as the map sits right now, we have the Republicans with 50 and the Democrats at 47. the Republicans need one more seat to take control of the U.S. Senate. So if we look at the state of Nevada, if we go here and look at the state of Nevada, we have the incumbent governor, Catherine Masto. I think that Adam Laxalt, he's the Republican nominee. He's a Republican candidate. I think he's going to do very well in the state in this race. If we look at polling, Masto is only a hair above Laxalt, and he's a really good candidate. He's a fantastic candidate. I think he's going to do very well. I think the turnout is going to go very well for him, and I think we could very well see him on the Senate floor come 2023. And so, with that being said, I'm going to put this as a tilt margin for the Republicans. It's really a true toss-up. It could go for the Democrats. It could go for Senator Masto, but I right now I see that I see that Laxalt will win here as a tilt margin, maybe like a 0.1 to like 0.5% margin here. It's really just a true toss-up. And right now, as the map sits, we have the Republicans at 51 and the Democrats at 47. And these next two races are some of the most competitive races out of the four. We have the state of Arizona and Pennsylvania. We're going to go look at the state of Pennsylvania. Mehmet Oz is the Republican candidate, the Trump candidate, the pro-life candidate. He is the candidate that really is the MAGA movement in the state of Pennsylvania. So he's facing off against John Fetterman, the current lieutenant governor of Pennsylvania, and John Fetterman is running honestly a really terrible campaign. He's had like 4 strokes, and he's like his health is declining, and I really don't think that he's going to appeal to a lot of voters. I think Mehmet Oz is going to do really well around the Philadelphia regions and near the Midwestern areas, like of near Lake Erie and all that all those counties. I think he's going to appeal to a lot of moderates. And if we look at polling, we have John Fetterman just barely above Mehmet Oz in all of these pollings, but I think the turnout is going to be what puts Mehmet Oz above John Fetterman. I think it's going to be a very close race, and I think that Mehmet Oz is just going to barely pull out ahead of John Fetterman. With that being said, this will go as a tilt margin for the Republicans. And our last state, we have to categorize the state of Arizona. This is a state where it has voted for a Democratic governor back in 2020, the 2020 special election here against Mark Kelly versus Martha McSally. Martha McSally was just honestly a terrible candidate for the Republicans. She did not do well at all. But we have a better candidate this year. Blake Masters. He is the Trump endorsed candidate. The Carrie Lake endorsed candidate. He's the pro MAGA candidate. And in the state of Arizona, for a state that voted for Donald Trump back in 2016, I think that Blake Masters might be able to pull over Mark Kelly in this race. It's going to be a very close race, no matter who wins. But so with that being said, I think that it's a true toss-up. It could go for Mark Kelly, but at the moment, I don't see it going for Mark Kelly. I can see it going for Blake Masters by just barely a 0.1 to 0.2 margin. It's a very, very close margin, a very close race, and I think that it's just going to be enough to put Blake Masters in the Senate floor come 2023. Now, this is my October prediction. The Republicans are at 53, and the Democrats are at 47. This is a gain for Republicans. They have just taken the Senate. If this is how the map sits, come November. And so I hope you guys liked the video. Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Comment down below if you guys think that if you guys have any questions about the video, or if you guys have any future suggestions for videos. Like I said, we're going to do one more for the governors and the Senate predictions, but we'll have plenty of 2024 election prediction videos coming along the way, alternative election videos, and I'm gonna do a lot more with the channel. So again, if you guys like the video, please hit the subscribe button, like it if you haven't already, and I will see you all in the next one. Thank you, God bless, and God bless America.